Welcome back to Black Art Matters. I'm Joy Jackson, and today we are joined by actress, dancer, Indie Series Award nominee, and Dallas native Brittney Bluitt. Hi, Brittney. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, and thank you.
So you are an actress, a dancer, and you wear other hats as well, but you are very, active and prominent in the film space as well as theater. We'll get into a little bit of that, but go ahead and tell us how you got started in just the world of acting and arts and performance.
The world of acting. I didn't start acting until 2016. I had already graduated high school, never did theater. I was in dance in high school, but 2016, life was just life, and I was unhappy. I was working customer service, and I was like, I need something that's gonna fulfill me. And I did dance. I love it, but it wasn't like a passion of mine. I love to sing. That's not a passion of mine either. And I'm not Whitney Houston, so. And I said to myself, try acting and see what that does for you. And I auditioned for Teresa Bell at the T-Bell Actor Studio. And I actually auditioned for her twice. Once when I was 18, and then in 2016, I was 24 going on 25. And when I auditioned for her the second time, she was like, you auditioned for me before? And I was like, yeah. And she said, and you've never acted in between? And I said, no. And she was like, how have you gotten better then? And I was like, I'm just talented. But yeah, that's kind of how I started, and ever since then, can't let it go.
Yeah, so is that what kind of led you into going on auditions? Like, was her company, is it an agency or acting school?
Yeah, she's an acting coach, and she teaches scene study and character analysis. And that kind of got me into like my introduction into acting, being able to break down the scene, break down a character, and try to figure out what each character wants from whatever situation that they're in. And I did a few auditions here and there for a lot of local projects. And I think that same year in October, I was cast in a short film that was directed by Calvin J. Walker. And yeah, that's kind of like, even though it's his baby, it's my baby too, because it was like my first short film. And it was a really good story. Calvin is an amazing writer, amazing director, just an amazing person. So, yeah.
So I've had the privilege of seeing you on screen and in the theater space, and you are just out of this world, like just completely.
Please. Don't make me tear up in here. I'm a thug. I gotta keep it.
But really, and it's interesting because you really own dramatic roles as well as comedic roles. So do you have what is your process when you're preparing for these characters, like these such heavy characters, and then of course like comical characters?
For dramatic characters, I try to write a backstory, which most actors do, and a lot of times I try to throw something heavy in there that they're dealing with or have dealt with. That way I can bring out some type of emotion for them, like whether it's fear or something that will get that energy, so I can actually bring to life what they're feeling. So that helps. And then I take from like personal, if I'm like frustrated or angry or anxious, I try to throw that in there as well. Sometimes it's hard though to use your own issues, because your body and your mind naturally wants to protect you from it, and so it's hard to break through that wall of protection to pull out or put out those emotions. So
do you have an approach to comedic roles? Because a lot of times I think people think they don't hold as much weight, but that's, you are building, a brand new person. I know with the comedic role that I saw you do with the Wash series, which is Daytime Emmy nominated.
Yes.
That was a brand new character. So, Clara, right? Tell us about that character and your approach to her.
With Claire, that was an interesting process because she wasn't necessarily a comedic person. She was more tough and no nonsense. She didn't take no bull from anybody. So I kind of had to give her a routine. So I would wake up at a certain time every day. I would drink coffee at a certain time. I would watch CNN for, maybe like an hour or so while I was getting ready. I made her a runner, so I would go to the track and I would run. So that was kind of like what I did to develop her. And then of course I had to write her backstory. And her backstory was that she grew up in a military household, so she had that tough demeanor, and she didn't take nothing from nobody. It was like, you either gonna do this or you gonna get ghosted. So
yeah, and thank you for correcting me on that. That reads so clear, and mind you, I haven't seen watched the series, probably since the premiere.
Yeah,
but it reads like I can definitely see her being that person. She probably is very isolated, definitely see the military. And even though, thank you for reminding me, she wasn't really written comedic, she was kind of insufferable at the same time, which I think which made her comical, because it's like, you are so serious that I can't even take you seriously.
It was, even when I would tell people about Claire, even though she was, I'm trying not to curse, even though she was a hard, it was all out of love in a way. Because that's how she was raised. She was raised really tough, and it's that hardcore. It's like, I'm trying to make you better, but the only way that I could get this out of you is I have to come down on you. And whenever I would tell people that, they're like, "You sure, girl?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's Claire. That's how I made her."
Yeah,
so.
I love that. I think that definitely reads for sure. So what is your process? So you get a booking that you're very interested in. What is your process of preparing for an audition or casting call?
You know what? It's kind of hard to pinpoint that, because a lot of the times with most of the auditions that I get, they're mostly commercial and they're due either the same day or the next day. And so a lot of it is just learning the lines. That's all you can do. And throwing in a little bit of action here and there based off of what the breakdown, that casting wants. For a short film, of course, first learning the lines, but I would write down a character's name, their age, their sign, what their fears are, do they have any bad habits, do they have any good habits, things like that. I would write all of that down, and I would try to put that into the character. I did it for Claire. I did it for, I auditioned for, what is the name? They just canceled it, and it was on Hulu. The Other Black Girl. There was a role in there for an artist in there, and I kind of wrote down her story, and that's kind of where I start. That's my basis. It's like writing all these little things, and then I can try to bring that character out. So hopefully I answered your question.
You did.
I did. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So you played Anarcha in Do No Harm with Soul Rep and the Elevator Projects.
Yes.
Just tell us about that experience and approaching that role.
That role, even just talking about it, it's trying to seep back in, and I'm like, "Ooh, girl, don't start crying." It was hard. Even working with Anyika and working with Miss Vicky Washington, when we did the film first, the way Miss Vicky, the way she helps you reach a character is insane. The work she had us doing was, you just have to experience it. I had to dig deep for Anarcha because it was hard. I had to really sit with her and halfway understand, because you'll never understand it unless you live it, understand what she went through. And I had to write a story as to why she was the way she was. And I wrote the most heartbreaking story. even like writing it and reading it out to myself, like it was tears, and having to explain it to the directors so they could see Anarcha come through. Like it was, I had to take a moment afterwards. They were like, just take a moment. And they were like, it's good. You're exactly where you need to be. And even though Anarcha was mute, she was very expressive in her face, in her body language. And you could see her pain, even her small moments of joy, but she went through a lot. She carried a lot. Yeah, just, whew. I just want to let that go.
So how did you take care of yourself during that process? What did you do?
With the other actresses, we took care of each other. And I think the most important thing was that we made each other laugh, because everything was so heavy. We were just like, it was constantly cracking jokes afterwards. So we made each other laugh, and we just talked about our experiences as women and things that we went through. And it was touching to know that a lot of the things that we went through, others went through as well. So we didn't feel alone, and we were just there for each other. We comforted each other, made each other laugh, things like that. So yeah.
Who are some of your biggest influences, actresses, especially in the film world?
Number one, Halle Berry. That's my girl. Like, people will see, I post about her all the time. I'm just like, she can like do no wrong in my eyes. And I know I shouldn't put her up on that pedestal because she's human, but acting wise, I'm like, girl, you're there. I actually made her laugh once
on Twitter,
on Instagram, and I was just like, price went up. I made Halle Berry laugh. Like, what? But yeah. So Halle Berry, Angela Bassett, Viola Davis, Meryl Streep, and I think that's it as far as women. Men really inspire me because I watch more of their movies more, which is probably really bad to say, but Don Cheadle is, I just cannot wait to work with that man. So Don Cheadle, Denzel Washington, Will Smith, Bradley Cooper, I don't think he gets talked about enough. And I think that's pretty much it. I would have to like really, really think about the people that I love watching the most, but those are like mine. They're up there for me.
I love Halle. She's so interactive, like on social media, like she's funny and personable and chill, and just never really caught up in a lot of craziness. I love her, my Leo queen.
I mean, at least not now.
Well, at least not. She has mellowed out.
Yeah. And I think one film that she did where I really just had to stop and say, "Oh my God," was I think it's called Frankie and Alice. I think that's what it's called. I could be wrong on the name, but she played. I think she was I want to say she was a go-go dancer in the 70s, and she had a split personality disorder. And
wow,
watching her tap into those characters I was like, how is she not crazy? How is she not insane? It was, if you have not seen it, please watch it. It's so good. I think a lot of people didn't like it, but I loved it.
Wow, I love it. Awesome. Okay, so what does creative Brittney look like aside from acting and dancing? Like, are there other avenues that you're wanting to explore, or?
Right now, the other avenue is voiceover. I've been kind of playing with that a little bit, and people have been saying, "Oh my God, this is so great!" So I'm playing with that. Hopefully, I want to get into like animated work, cartoons, and things like that. Dabble in photography. Love black and white photography. Gordon Parks is like my. Love it. He's my inspiration when it comes to photography. And I want to say that's pretty much it as far as like voiceover and photography. Those are the only two lanes that I am really interested in. Not so much photography anymore because I haven't picked up my camera in a while, but I can still do a little something.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna get into a rapid round, whatever comes first, okay? So comedic acting or dramatic acting?
Comedic acting or dramatic acting? It's hard to choose.
Plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth.
Okay, you plead the
Plead the
fifth.
fifth.
Okay, cool. Favorite comedic actress?
I think I would say Regina Hall.
Why?
She is. She just knows no bounds. She just goes for it, and it's hard to do that. Comedy is so hard, and a lot of people think it's easy. It's so hard because too many people try to be funny, and don't allow themselves to actually be funny.
Yeah.
But the last sketch that I did, the director, his name is Jay Dyer. He's absolutely amazing. If you look him up, he told me the best advice he gave me was try to make your younger self laugh. And I said, ooh, okay.
That's good advice.
Yeah. And I was like, if I could just make that little girl in me laugh, all I gotta do is be silly, because I'm just goofy as I don't know what. I'm just as goofy as I don't know what. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say with comedic acting, you have to feel just as much as dramatic. Like, it really is like a spiritual experience, like laughter. It literally, kills disease. Like, laughter is, it's really like a soul thing. Yeah. So I think people could tap into that more, kind of going back to the younger child. So I think that's great advice. Shout out to you. Yeah. Shout out to him. Shout out to him. Okay, if you could have dinner with any Black female figure, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
If I could have dinner with any Black female figure, dead or alive.
Besides Halle Berry.
Besides Halle Berry. I think I would be too nervous to eat in front of her. I don't know.
Like, just to chop it up with, maybe get some wisdom, or just to get to know more.
It's so hard for me to answer that question. I don't know why. I guess because me thinking about talking to somebody that I look up to is maybe Regina King. Yeah.
Love that.
I think I would want to sit and talk to her and pick her brain and just see how she's navigated the acting space from the 90s up until now. Because she's just one of those faces that you would always see in films, especially in the 90s,
Yeah.
So, yeah, and ask about personal life and stuff like that.
I love that. No, her career has been crazy, like just where she started up until now. So I love that. Like, that's perfect. Okay, so what word of advice would you give to younger Brittney starting out, or any young actor, young or old, who's wanting to pursue acting and storytelling and just go for it?
What advice would I give to someone just starting out? Be dedicated to it. Really, really go for it. And don't hold back. Anything that you think or you feel, let it out. Study your lines. Study. I can't say study enough. Study the craft, the art of acting, because it's forever changing, and you're telling stories from, even though it might not be real people, they're still a person, and people are complex. So study different ways to just make them come alive. So, yeah.
Okay. That's it. Well, on that note, thank you so much, Brittney, for joining us. And thank you. We'll see you next time on Black Art Matters.